So as you see, we were just talking about what are the essentials of valuing an idea or a project. So I want to take the next step and talk about why this class is fundamentally relevant to you. So here's the good news. We do not need to be a corporation or work for one. By that I mean a corporation is a collection of people that has a common purpose and takes on what we call new ideas, projects, and hopefully takes on ones that are good rather than ones that are value destroying. So the point I'm trying to make now is shifting gears a little bit. I want to spend some time talking about how everything we have done, with a minor twist, is applicable to anything you would like to do, regardless of whether you're a corporation or not. Of course, if you work for a corporation and have to evaluate projects, we have set you up to do so. We can use the fundamental principles, the frameworks, the tools, techniques to value anything. So for example, if you have a saving decision to make, to think about, for the future obviously, we did that right up front. In fact, we spent the first 2 weeks focusing entirely on decisions that you would have to make about saving. And saving for the future obviously involves borrowing and lending. And the reason is that if you are saving for the future, you won't put it under your mattress, you lend the money to someone, and someone will borrow it from you. And therefore it'll be returned hopefully to you in the future, right? I'm smiling because a lot of this didn't happen recently, like people lost a lot of money. And I'm not smiling because they lost a lot of money, is that the presumption is that when you save for the future, you will hopefully get more, right? So we assume that the return is positive, you get your principal back, plus you get a lot of money back, okay? The point I'm trying to make here is the same cash flows and the same discount rate that we talked about in the context of evaluating projects, I mean, not everybody gets to do projects and create value, most of us don't. But we do participate in the economy, right? So if you have resources and do not have good ideas, what do? You give your money to people with resources. That's why a marketplace is so important. As the flow of resources goes to the ideas, you are making saving, borrowing, and lending decisions. And the key to recognize is that everything we taught in this course is applicable. There's just one minor twist that you need to do, and that'll make you understand that all principles are the same, and I'll come to that minor twist in a second. Both time value and risk components that I did in this class were always motivated by financial decision making at the individual level. Why am I emphasizing that? Because I do not want you to think that this class was only about corporations or decision making that corporations do. Corporations are a bunch of individuals. The key emphasis I want to distinguish, however, is that most individual decisions are financial in nature. In other words, if you see the bullet point up there, the financial is in quotes. What do I mean by that? I mean by that is what I emphasized earlier is we may not have great projects to undertake, and most of us in this world therefore tend to make financial decisions of borrowing and lending, and value creation hopefully happens with the best ideas, right? So for an example, take the following scenario. You're in the IT business, you're in the technology business. It is unlikely that everybody in the technology business will be able to be like Steve Jobs, right? And the reason is Steve Jobs has created a track record. Even though he's not with us anymore, Apple still benefits from his track record of coming up with great new ideas that actually are valuable or perceived to be valuable by the customer, right? So not everybody can be like him. But what we can do is give our resources, financial resources, those who have resources, to Steve Jobs and benefit from his ability to create positive NPV projects. And that's why I think markets are the best social thing created by us. By word social, I mean is all of us can participate in the value creation process rather than put our money under the mattress and lose value. And this is something most people don't recognize, that markets are the same as democracy and lift all of us up. They don't do a very good job sometimes, because only few can participate, but that's not the intent by which democracy or markets were created. So what is the key distinction in the end between a person who has ideas or has the ability to invest in positive NPV projects, and that person is not a static person, right? So Steve Jobs cannot do, even he couldn't create positive NPV projects all the time. And suddenly, from nowhere, two young people created Google, right? So it's not anybody's birthright to create positive NPV projects. However, there's a big difference between investing, quote unquote, in a real asset and in a financial asset. I'm going to pause here and let you think about it. And please do this. I will keep going, but I would ask you to press the pause button before answering the next question. And the next question is this: what is the key difference between real and financial assets? And as I said, I'm raising this because it's extremely important you understand this. The context, a well-functioning marketplace. Okay? That's very important. So the key difference is the following. Financial assets are zero NPV transactions. So think about it. If I invest in equity or in a loan, which is debt, my NPV of my decision has to be zero in a well-functioning market. Otherwise, what would happen? You and I would just keep selling stocks and bonds to each other, split up the gains and go home and sleep. The idea here is that to create real value, you have to have a better idea than somebody else. And that better idea I call real, not financial. Of course, financial innovation also involves better ideas than the past, right? And you can make some money on that idea, right? But the essence of this point is the following. When I go in a marketplace and take a loan, what is the present value of the future cash flows I pay? So I get $50,000. Remember, we did this a while ago, seems like 10 years ago. But $50,000 I borrow, and I pay PMT 5 times, right? Or 60 times, if it's monthly for 5 years. What is the present value of all of that? It has to be the money I borrow, which means it's a zero NPV transaction. Similarly, buying a stock, its value today has to be its present value, right? Otherwise, somebody's being cheated here or somebody's made fool of. That doesn't mean in the future your expectations will be realized. But in a well-functioning market, you cannot make money except for the risk return that you get over time just by investing in a stock or a bond. You cannot. And this is such an important issue that I would encourage you to think like that. When could financial investments make money? If there are frictions created, if there are loopholes in the laws and stuff like that. That's a very different issue. It's not nature that's dictating that. Okay? Let me move on and spend the next 10 to 15 minutes on issues related to all of this. So what have I done till now? Shown you how to make real decisions, shown you how to make financial decisions, and said that the risk-return issue and the cash flow issue is identical. The only difference is when you make real decisions, start a factory, you better be creating value. Otherwise, why do it? Whereas when you're just transacting resources, financial resources, you can't create value from nothing. You're just being compensated for the time value of money and, of course, for the risk.